Well, let's start with number 5 then. First up, we got Larry and Paula Parks, Paris Drive Christmas yard display.
All right. I have copied my presentation so everybody could read along with me if needed to. I don't have a particularly loud voice, and that way everybody can clearly understand what I've come to speak about. That's scary to me. All right. I would like to introduce myself to you. My name is Paula Parks. My husband Larry and I are the homeowners who reside at 1503 Paris Drive. I know there has been many written, presumptuous Facebook posts and at least one advertisement with the draw of a heated debate, all caused by a couple of residents in D'Adrian Subdivision who have approached the village about shutting down a popular Christmas light display. I would like the record to show this sensationalism has not come from us. I have not come here tonight to fan the flames of a heated debate. I have come here tonight to ask the advice and opinion of these experienced council members. We have not made a nuisance of ourselves. We have made 2 phone calls and written 1 letter. Where I have marked attached, we'll go through those pictures at the end, if you don't mind. We are here tonight as suggested in a phone conversation with the village mayor, mentioned in a visit with Jim Lewis, and at the advice of at least 1 sheriff's deputy. We want to talk to you tonight about the safety of all village residents, and also to have you clarify the definition of a nuisance as written on page 49, section 6212 of the Village of Godfrey Ordinance Book. During 1 phone conversation I have had with the village mayor, I voiced my concern over a village resident placing Village of Godfrey barricades on Terrace and Chateau Drives wherever he chose in the middle of the afternoon without any professional supervision from the Village of Godfrey as to where the safest location for these barricades would be. I was told by the mayor the barricades were being placed because of a safety issue. He acknowledged to me he knew children were getting out of cars and going into the street to give donations at the light show. I asked the mayor if he had seen this year's Paris Drive lights, and he responded no. I told the mayor the whole thing was becoming a safety nuisance in a residential area. When I asked if he wanted it next door to him, he replied no. I copied several Facebook posts concerning the barricade issue in my conversation with the mayor near March 3 and 4. In a conversation with Jim Lewis the next morning, we discussed what I could do to freely access my property during this 6-week-long traffic nightmare. He said, talk to the safety committee. I asked Jim what he would do if he were in my shoes. How would he get out? He said he would park down the street. When asked if he would like the light show on his street, he responded no. I questioned a sheriff's deputy, asking what he thought about all the traffic and again asking for advice about the best way to get through the bottleneck of cars that sometimes builds in front of my home. He advised, take all the pictures and video you can and talk to the safety committee. I asked the deputy if he would like the show on his street, and he said no. I have pictures of the barricades that were placed marked 5 and 6. Now, I am a 57-year-old retired kindergarten teacher wanting to live a safe and quiet life. I choose to live in a subdivision designated as an R3 zone, and I want to live by the written guidelines of these ordinances. I can't keep record of all the safety nuisances that are being broken each night by the revelry this show brings to my street. That determination is for the board to decide. I can only list the ones I have seen with my own eyes. I've seen costume characters with limited visibility at best in the middle of the street, knocking on car windows. Excited and distracted children dressed as elves standing in traffic at night to pass out candy canes or to get a picture taken. Cars are driving down the street with their lights off while children and adults are in and out of cars, all distracted by the costume characters, the 180,000 flashing lights, and the booming music. There's no accountability. I could go on and on, but I think that's enough to paint a clear picture. Several years ago, this was a beautiful, much smaller light display. My husband wrote a note of compliment to the subdivision newsletter, and I certainly agree that the Adams family should and has been commended. My husband invited Jason Adams to join the D'Adrian Garden Board of Trustees so he could share his advice on subdivision matters and help make sure our residential area is safe and free of nuisance. What has been advertised as a Christmas destination has become too large to be on a narrow street. This light show has outgrown its promoters' boundaries and made the 1500 block of Paris Drive a parking lot. Everyone enjoys the show, but who wants it next to them for 6 weeks? Why are we enticing visitors to an area with no sidewalks, no parking facilities, and long lines of traffic moving at its own pace? Oh, and don't forget, until you reach the front of the line, lighting is dim at best. The village residents are so lucky to live in a community where there's a wonderful park and recreation staff. If Godfrey wants to attract people with this show, then put it where everyone has a chance to safely enjoy the sights and sounds of the season without making Paris Drive a nuisance. Move it to a park or let one of the advertised sponsors light up their business. Let Jason be president of this community event and give him the advice he needs to keep this a safe, God-free tradition. I hope the safety board will remember what is decided here will set a precedence for the village residents. How many lights are too many? How many advertisements will be allowed? How big can the signs be? If this event continues on Paris Drive in 2013, I believe all of the neighbors in the 1500 block need to be mailed a copy of the village's liability coverage providing for this event and the coverage provided by its sponsors and promoters. I need to know we are protected from the throngs of revelers drawn to our block by this safety nuisance. As anyone who has ever tried to manage a group of people or direct traffic knows, it isn't the number of people in the group or the speed of the traffic. It's called an accident for a reason. Now, 1 minute to happen, it only takes one person, 1 second, one distraction to turn reveling into liability. Who's to blame? Are the neighbors to blame if we don't notify the village of these safety nuisances? The village mayor has been quoted as saying it's a safety issue. Is he to blame? Have the sponsors whose signs are posted added extra insurance? Who is liable? I know I don't want to be. I've tried to clearly show how our neighborhood has been compromised 4.5 hours every night for 6 weeks out of the year. What kind of compromise are we offered? Why is our freedom forgotten? Please move this nuisance from Paris Drive and give it boundaries and accountability. In a similar case decided by the Supreme Court of Arkansas, the solution was very easy. Federal law does not protect the right to turn one's property into a nuisance. Lawyers for the case contended this case is not about Christmas spirit or the lack thereof, but about determining where the rights of one person end and the rights of another person begin. Any questions for me? I'd like for you to, I have a few things in the back I want everybody to look at. Of course, the one I just took the copy of the letter we sent. And I have a copy on 2 that is a prohibition against nuisances that comes directly from the village ordinances. I also, if you go past that, and I would like to talk about 3 and 4, where it's dated on the 12th that we're totally changing the street with no notice to anyone that lives on the street. By my knowledge, that's written, tomorrow night we will be trying something new. Hopefully help out with the traffic. The street before our house will be one-way traffic so people can park on the left side of the road and get pictures and all. So here we are, people. We've got the one side. When we look at the blockades, I'll show you. We're saying that traffic can go one direction and they're going to park on the left side. Well, you know what? My driveway's right there on the left side, and I don't particularly think that's a good idea. I've got another one from Shoto, and these are all dated on the 19th. But remember, the barricades didn't go up until the 20th, so this is knowledge that I didn't even know any of this was happening. From Shoto to Eiffel will be one way on Paris. Going from east to west will be open and west to east closed. Really? I mean, does anybody in town know anything about that except the people that read these Facebook posts? I didn't see it posted in the Telegraph. None of the neighbors were concerned. We didn't even know. So imagine my shock on the 20th when my husband called the mayor for me to speak. Of course, I have a quote there that was posted on Facebook that says, well, we're still dealing with neighbors. The subdivision president's wife was screaming at the mayor to have a shutdown earlier today, which I am glad the mayor took our side. Well, I don't know that, you can put anything you want to on Facebook, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, but the neighbors took down the construction barricades, and they told me to put them back up ourselves. Really, people? I mean, I'm just trying to get down the street. And these kind of things continue, and I have statements like, we'd rather run the Scrooges out. Just wait. There'll be more houses next year. Let's kill them with kindness or brightness. This is December 20th. I have this onslaught dumped on me. So what I would like to do, I would like for you to look at the pictures of the barricades that were placed in front of my home in the middle of the afternoon as I'm sitting at my table eating lunch. I could point out to where my house is if anybody wants to see. It's right here at the end of this barricade. You can't get through if we're going through one way on this side. My house is here. We're parking on the left side, so of course we want to all stop and take pictures. How do I get out? How long should I have to wait before I can get out? I mean, should I leave for work 45 minutes early? If I have to, even if I can get out, and then even if it is runway, how long do I have to wait in the line for the light show before I can get to work? Should I leave an hour early? Should I leave 30 minutes early? How do I get out? It's totally blocked out. Even if Paris Drive is made a one-way street, the people do not want to drive through. They want to stop. They're encouraged to stop and listen to the music, talk to Santa, be given a candy cane, take pictures. It goes on and on and on. The traffic, even if it's designated one way, it doesn't go. The flow is a bottleneck. Now, does anybody have any idea what happened to the barricades? They were only there for a day and a half and then they disappeared. I don't even know if it was a one-way street or not. Does anybody know?
I just thought Jason took them down.
Does anybody know why they went up and came down again?
I took
We
them
don't
down
know.
because you took them down.
I didn't touch the barricades.
Yes, you do, and I have it on video.
That I touched your barricades?
You and the other lady.
Could we see
She
that
never
video?
touched
I
Show
can
me
get-
the video, because I want everybody to know here that he says I touched the barricades, because I did not. It's just more lies I
Took
got
them down
to
at
show.
6:15 on Friday the 21st, I believe.
The only barricades I saw was when they had the fire shortage.
Excuse
All
me.
right.
She
Okay,
has
now I
to
say
go
the power
right
I
shortage.
did.
Okay, the power shortage didn't start until after the barricades went up. I have proof
No.
of that.
They put them in front of my house, and it was after they had trouble with
The lady
I
has
have
the
proof
floor,
of
sir.
that.
Pardon me?
I
The
have
lady
proof
has the
when they
floor.
went
She
up.
was asking me.
I can show proof of when they went up, and I can also show proof that on a Facebook page, he talks about putting them up. That was posted on the 19th, sir. On December the 19th, it's posted that it was changed to a one-way street without anyone's knowledge.
Well, all I know
I mean,
is
it's in his own words.
the
It's in
barricade that came
Jason's
up in
own
front of my
words.
house was when they had the fire shortage across the street.
I don't
That's
know
the
where
only
your
barricade.
house was
I
or
live
who
on the
you
corner
are,
of
and
Chateau
so-
and Paris, which is 2 houses up from you guys.
And that's fine. I
I
mean,
never had a
everybody's
problem.
entitled to their opinion, but I have it in black and white. And like I said, I want to see that video where I am touching those barricades. Bring it to me. Bring it to these people, because I didn't touch them.
I think we've got your point, and I think we should hear from the other side now. It's a lady. I'm sorry.
We're also on the agenda. I would like to have ours here also.
All right. Go ahead.
We're ready? Okay. See who's all here. Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Toole. I'm going to read a statement. I'd like to commend Paula on all the homework she did. That was really great. I appreciate the technical citing of the ordinances. It's a shame you had to spend your time like that. I'm sure you had other things you really would rather be doing during the holidays. And, interesting, my name's Bill Toole. I live at 1502 Paris Drive, which is next door to the light display. While there are a range of issues I feel should be considered when trying to understand the impact this display has on the neighborhood, it's my understanding that the focus tonight is safety, so I'll try to focus on those aspects while still framing the community impact into a broader overall context. The most obvious safety issues relate not to the apparent desire to create a fabulous light display, though you could question that. I mean, there's a lot of 110 volt lines running all over the ground, lots of little kids running around. They're being encouraged to get out of the cars and play in Santa Land. 110 volts is enough to electrocute somebody, Apparently, I don't know if we've had a real electrical engineer take a look at this, but, that can happen. But the more obvious issues, I think, relate to the apparent desire to create a fabulous light display, the merits of which could be debated. There seems to be this insatiable desire to build traffic and attract attention. The stated goal is for the display to grow larger every year. It's being advertised on marquees by local sponsors and promoted on the internet via social media. So in the past there have been these types of nuisance displays that have gotten on people's nerves. This one's on steroids here because basically we're in a whole new realm here. I mean, we've got digital signs advertising it's smart auto, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The stated goal, like I said, is for it to get larger every year. This is a residential neighborhood. The infrastructure is not designed to accommodate that kind of traffic. Well, I'm sure the high volume of traffic is great for Mr. Adams' sponsors. Lots of people see their signs. It may not be so good if a fire engine or an ambulance needs to get in during viewing hours, which are typically 5:30 to 10:30, 11 o'clock, 7 days a week from Thanksgiving to New Year's. As I've said, this is a residential neighborhood, one without sidewalks, and in fact, very few streetlights. In fact, the residents are required to keep on their street lights, their local yard light, to add light to the subdivision. So with this in mind, is it really a great safety scenario to encourage more and more and more carloads of visitors to drive through with their lights out, their subwoofers and car stereos playing Christmas rock so loud that on occasion I've been able to hear it in my basement? Bear in mind that while all this is going on, the drivers are being distracted by a Christmas light display, and small children are being encouraged to get out of the vehicles and excitedly play and mill about. Not to mention the residents, remember them, who are trying to receive their families and holiday visitors, walk their dogs, walk themselves, and get exercise, which they should have the right to do in safety. People frequently seem distracted. On numerous occasions, we've had to get out of our vehicle in the street and knock on people's car windows to get them to get into our driveway or to get out of our driveway. They typically are startled. They have not heard us because of the music and have not seen us because they're watching or filming the light show. Another area of safety and endangerment concern is the area of health risk. There are two areas of concern, the first of which is the fact that people who get up early, such as my wife, 5 a.m. for work, might want for some odd reason to get 8 hours of sleep. This would mean going to bed at 9 o'clock. Now when the light display goes till 10:30, and it's really more of a tailgate party and meet and greet Santa, that includes squealing kids, slamming car doors, and occasionally giant 4x4s that seem proud to have no mufflers, and general revelry, you might have a little difficulty sleeping. And even if you can block it out some way, if you happen to have pet dogs, what audacity, that are used to a relatively quiet neighborhood for 10 months of the year, forget it. Many nights you will go to sleep, many nights you will be going to sleep at 10:30. Well, I don't know what I was saying there, but in any event, and many nights you'll be going to sleep at 10:30 instead of 9 o'clock. I stay up till 12, so it doesn't bother me, but I can understand her feelings. Well, this may not affect some people, some individuals who don't work for long stretches of time during the winter. Those would probably be folks who are not representative of the norm in the neighborhood. Another aspect of health safety that's probably being overlooked is the amount of particulate matter that's being put in the air, carbon monoxide, exhaust, air pollution that's being emitted locally by having hundreds of idling vehicles lined up in your neighborhood each night. While I would imagine that many of these folks, judging by the hundreds of cigarette butts I pick up every November and December in my front yard, would probably not consider this a credible concern, I would refer you to the statistics from the American Lung Association that I cited to this board several years back in reference to the development of a saner open burning policy in Godfrey. Bad air quality kills people slowly most of the time, but asthma kills very quickly in many children frequently. So, we won't know that, what the long terms are for people, with chronic lung disease, but people with asthma could, basically be affected, in a very short-term fashion. You're going to wait till something like that happens. I want to state that this has been a 5-year exercise in tolerance. I mention this only to the extent that Mr. Adams has identified me to his Facebook following as a Scrooge who wants to shut down his display. I would like to point out the fact that I've never made a formal complaint against him or his display, not to the village, not to the subdivision trustees, nor to the police. And this brings me to a more subtle point of safety, my personal safety. When Mr. Adams, to his following of Facebook friends, a group that could be said to include anyone from casual friends to outright stranger, vilifies me and my family as Scrooges, he's going to run out of the neighborhood. He states that someone should put a sign in my yard, that I should be killed. He does qualify that by saying I should be killed with kindness, but it's an interesting choice of words. I wonder what his definition of kindness is. He speculates that I deliberately park my vehicle on the street to impede and spoil people's fun, and then identifies my vehicle with a description. When he speaks this way, he endangers me and my family. I don't think after Sandy Hook I need to outline the worst case scenarios, but at best he's making me a target for vandalism. And I'd like to point out, he parks his vehicle most of the time in the front yard too, or on the front street as well. And it's a nice long trailer, about 20 feet long, with lawn cutting equipment, which nobody ever says anything about. I have a single drive, and I know it's a real, indication of my lack of Christmas spirit that I didn't have it widened to a double car, double width drive, but it's a real pain in the you-know-what to constantly be moving cars, So, it's not a deliberate, plot on my part to spoil people's fun. Beyond that, who knows, this whole affair has taught me that there are many out there who have far too much time on their hands. In closing, I would like to briefly remind everyone that there are other issues to consider that fall outside the jurisdiction of the Safety Committee. Neighbors' property rights, the role of local government in advocating and fairly balancing the needs of citizens, people's right to peace and tranquility in their own homes, the behaviors that we're modeling to our children relative to global climate change and social justice issues, and how we most transparently and effectively support our nonprofit and charitable institutions. Thank you. Peace on earth, goodwill towards men.
Chairman Stewart, Chairman Williams, I didn't mean to. I think 3 minutes per person is long enough, sir, for orientation.
I was going to say 4.
Excuse me a second. Mr. Toole, could I have a copy of your speech, please? For the
Yeah,
record?
definitely. I've got copies for everyone.
Is there someone else that would like to speak here tonight? Nobody here wants to speak?
Nope.
Mr. Chairman, let me add 2 things. I live at the corner of
Excuse me, we need
Voltaire
your
and
name.
Terrace.
Excuse me, sir.
We need your name and address, sir.
My name is John McElvin. I live at 4913 Voltaire Drive. It's at the
Stand up,
corner-
please.
It's at the corner of Voltaire and Paris. And I've got to say, I initially was a large fan of the light show when it initially came to our subdivision. However, I have to say, I think my view has changed now, and if we're sticking strictly to safety issues, then I'm going to point out 2, and I'll sit down. First of all, when the one-way signs went up, I was a violator, because I didn't know the signs went up, and I didn't see them until I went the wrong way. So I don't think that was handled properly, that they were put up. Second of all, my driveway from my garage backs out onto Paris Drive. I, on occasion, have had difficulty getting into my own driveway, and I'm in the next block up because of vehicles waiting to see the light show. The only other thing I want to throw out is there were so many cars that on any given night, dozens, and I'm probably being minimal in my determination, turning around in my driveway from 5:30 until 10:30 every night, shining headlights into my living room. So, thank you.
There's a hand back there. Name and address, please.
Carolyn James, I live at 4923 Paris Drive. I live about 4 doors from the display. When we first moved here, In our subdivision, everybody had lights out at Christmas. Not only did people from everywhere drove through our subdivision because it was pretty, because everybody lived there, their houses and etc. So there were already people coming through our subdivision. Of course, when their lights went up, more and more people came. Now, I would like to say that the week after Thanksgiving, very few people, because we're just 4 doors and we see them coming down. And it was probably just the week of Christmas or the week before Christmas that there were a lot of people that went in and out. Very rarely do I go out in the evening unless I have a meeting to go to, but on occasions my family came, or I had company, or when I did go out, there was not one person that ever refused for me to get in line. I just would pull up and honk my horn and they would back up and let me out. It has never been a problem. This year, my own family came, and because the lines were long, they didn't want to wait in the line, so they parked in front of our house and they walked down, which was fine, and I don't care if people do that. It could be a problem, but cars are not speeding along there, they are creeping along. So it is a beautiful display. It's been good for our subdivision, and I think even without it, you're going to have people driving through our subdivision because it's pretty and it's special. That's all.
There's a hand back there. Name and address, please.
My name is David Fritz. I live at 1804 Biscay Drive in D'Adrian. First of all, I want to thank Jason for all of his efforts, his neighbors' efforts for making this display. It's been a beautiful attraction to the village of Godfrey, or to the subdivision, and ultimately to the village of Godfrey. Do I think that Jason is a opponent to the safety issues? No. Let's take this time and let's look at what we can do to make this a safer display. There are a lot of cars. I don't think any one of us want to see any safety hazards going unaddressed. But let's sit down and see what we can do to address these issues on a common sense level, unheatedly, and simply to make this event work. This is a wonderful event that an individual took upon himself for his daughters 5 years ago, 6 years ago. It has grown. Thanks to his neighbors, the subdivision, it's become a wonderful event.
Sir, he has a daughter to stop.
This is my table. This is my time, and I'll address your issues when I'm finished speaking. So, I think we need to sit down as a village, as a subdivision, as a neighborhood, and address these issues with a level of common sense to see that this beautiful display, this beautiful attraction at the Christmas season goes forward. Thank you.
Go ahead.
My name's Charlie Masello. I live at 4921 Chateau, which is about 3 houses up from the display. And all the traffic that we get, and we get as much as anybody, because they come down Chateau as well as Paris, we haven't had any problem with horns or noise or anything of that sort. So I'm all for the safety thing, but I'm also all for the lights because it brings in people from all over, and that doesn't hurt Godfrey at all. So I just thought I'd throw it in.
In back there.
Mike Chipolloff at 1506 Paris Drive, live next door. Our yard is all decorated with Santa Claus, 2 snowmen and whatnot. We go out quite a bit. Every night that we come in, we've been able to get into our driveway. We've had no problem whatsoever getting in there. I've come down Paris Drive, turn on my blinker of my car, the light, people move, I go up my drive. We've gone out. I don't know what the heck they're talking about, getting in and out of their drives. Thank you.
One more back there.
I'm Holly Bunch. I live at 1903 Biscay. 3 years ago, we lived over on that side of Humbert Road on Saturn Drive, moved into D'Adrian, went by, thought, wow, this is fabulous. And I have noticed that since I've moved in, which has only been 3 years, that more and more people are putting up Christmas lights. And I think, wow, what a great subdivision to live in. Look at me. You can see I'm not thin. I'm not an exerciser. It encourages me to walk because my kids love to walk down around the lights and look at the lights almost nightly. That's the only time of the year I get exercise. And I walk my dog and my kids down there just so they can look at the displays. Never once have I had a problem walking, people almost hitting me, nothing of that sort. So I'm just glad that more and more people in the subdivision have been encouraged by him to put up lights. That's all I gotta say.
I think I saw in the paper tonight where you were giving money to a charity. What does that amount to?
Well, that would be my hand. I'm Susan Jolly. I'm the Executive Director at the Crisis Food Center. The display that we're all talking about directly supports us in the 5As. For the 4 years that I've been there now, it's been a tremendous donation at a time when, while donations are steady, the economy has hit a lot of people. We serve 30% more children under the age of 6 in the last 2 years. We've served almost 50% more seniors over the age of 55 in the last 3 years. We could not do all that we do without the support of individuals like Jason and businesses and people throughout the community that help us do what we do. We will serve over 30,000 people this year. We will distribute close to 500,000 meals because of this kind of support. We moved here about 7 years ago from Colorado, where I was involved in almost the same sort of issue as a landowner. It was remedied as the governing body of the town that we lived in worked with their law enforcement and their traffic control, and were able to gather volunteers that helped with traffic, to have volunteers that helped make sure driveways stayed open, that helped traffic keep moving. I think, as this gentleman said, that if you take a little bit of time between now and next Christmas, you'll be able to find some answers to these kinds of solutions that will make everyone happy and that will keep all landowners' rights in bay, and that you'll be able to make everyone welcome to your community in something that is obviously benefits a good deal of what you may find to be your neighbors, those that are from this community. So thank you.
One more, and that'll be it. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Rick Junn, 1207 Douglas Street, and I'm the director of the 5As. And I just want to say that because of the Adams, I mean, this has been tremendous help for us taking care of things that are on the Adams. And I just think that if it were change, it'd be a shame. You know, it's been a wonderful thing, and I've gone through there 2 or 3 times myself every year, been there this year, and just speaking for the animals, we need this. There's a lot of funds that come in, there's food, there's supplies, and it's all because of that. So I want to thank them.
Real quick, one more and that's it.
I really came down here just to hear what other neighbors had to say, but I think it's fair for me to say, I'm Lance Thornton. I live at 1507 Paris Drive, and I'm neighbors with all these people, everybody that's been talking tonight, and I certainly wouldn't want to pick sides. I certainly would want to see safety done. My yard is one of the yards that that Jason has expanded into, because I thought that it was a Christmassy thing. I thought it was a giving thing. I thought it was the right spirit for the season, and I've continued to support it. I certainly could easily be somebody that would be upset because I do have to deal with the traffic. There have been occasions when people, get excited about the light. They have blocked the driveway, but it's been certainly something where I've been able to get out and just make sure I have their attention, and they have readily gotten out of the way. And I just want to say I haven't seen those, some of the extreme safety concerns, but certainly we would want this to be something that would be safe for everybody, and still, spread that Christmas cheer and the giving and be able to help these charities, and I support what Jason is doing.
1 minute, that's all.
Because I actually officially should.
1 minute, that's all.
Okay. All I want to say is this has nothing to do with shutting down the lights, and it never did have anything to do with talking about Jason's light. It has to do with moving it to a place where there's sidewalks, where there's facilities to hold this type of an event. I also would like the board to talk to me about their ordinance on what's a nuisance in a neighborhood. What is this policy written for if it will not be enforced? I'm all for lights. I think Jason and his family should be commended, and I've mentioned that. But come on now, people. I am on a residential street at the bottom of a hill that's dark. There's kiddos out there every weekend. I just don't think it's safe. I think that it needs to be somewhere where there's sidewalks and parking spaces.
Tonight, we're not going to be able to make any decisions or anything else. Our attorney is here listening to this tonight, and I'm sure by the next meeting, he will inform us of different questions that's been asked here tonight. So at this time, I'd like to close this meeting and go on with our meeting to other things. So basically what I'm saying is that we will talk about this in the future.
Can I say anything?
If you want to.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that, believe it or not, I love D'Adrian. I never had been to the lights. I hadn't seen them till this year. So, I had heard how nice they were. I'd also heard there were some traffic issues. And I took my wife and we went there on December 26th. So it was the day after Christmas. I just want to say the lights look great. And not just there, I actually I came from like the side at 1500. I went down from there past the lights. And I actually kind of turned out of the subdivision pretty quick. And then I saw there were lights everywhere. Now, I had been in the past, way back, before this display, I had been through there. I never saw so many lights, I think, as there are, especially down at the far end of the subdivision. There's this really bunch. When I came through that area, there were cars coming both ways that night, and those cars were turning their headlights off, pulling over some. But everybody was letting everybody get through. I didn't see a problem right when I was there. But I could see where, if there were inconsiderate people or there were a ton of traffic, where there could be problems. So I personally think that, we need to look at it and see if we can come up with ideas. I'd hate to display the end. But also don't want
2 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just have one comment. I don't think it takes our attorney necessarily to tell us that, yeah, there are parts of the prohibition against nuisance that certainly fit this situation. And I drove through it. It is very nice, but I, like most people, wouldn't want it next to me. And I think maybe some adjustments can be made. There's no reason for having loud noises at 10, 11 o'clock at night. That can be remedied. But anyway, I think there's grounds for this board to take a look at the situation, to talk to the people concerned, and even our park committee, to see what might be worked out.